Alright, so I just finished my birth story series on YouTube, which, by the way, if you haven't checked them out yet, go watch them. They were so much fun to record, and it was fun for me to reminisce and kind of mentally prepare myself for when I have this next baby. But after all the stories, I thought it would be fun to talk specifically about what it was like to have an epidural versus what it was like not to have an epidural. So first I want to talk about going into labor. Now with my natural births, labor for me just starts. So it starts, I am in labor and it doesn't let up. Like it's just painful, right? With the epidurals, one of my experiences was that I started into labor, again, hard and fast, then I called for the epidural. With another one, I didn't even feel a single contraction. I started the epidural right at the beginning and I felt no pain. So basically at the hospital, you have a lot of options for how you want the epidural to work. You can either start it at the very beginning or you can wait until a certain point in the labor until you call for it then. But it's pretty much whenever you're at your point to where you say, I can't take this anymore, give me something. Next, let's talk about actual pain during labor. So obviously with natural labor, you're feeling everything. You feel everything that's going on. You feel the contractions, you feel the uncomfortableness, you feel your baby moving around during contractions, you feel everything. So the pain is obviously going to be a lot more with a natural birth. With an epidural, there is when the epidural is actually getting put into you, there is like a little bit of pain, but compared to the pain from labor that you're feeling, the pain from the epidural is next to nothing. It's like a bee sting. It is not that bad. When it starts getting put in, you do feel kind of like a sensation of liquid almost going down your spine, I guess. It's a weird feeling, but there's like no pain. And then as the liquid's like going down your body, that's when you start to feel the epidural kick in. It gets a little tingly at first, like your legs start feeling a little bit numb, and then you feel the pain from the contractions just kind of lifting instantly. And then as soon as you get it, all of the pain is just gone. Just gone. There was one time that I felt a little bit of pain when I had the epidural, but it wasn't the same kind of pain. It was when a nurse was supposed to be holding my leg, but then she kind of let it go, and there was like an aching or a dull sensation. It wasn't pain so much, it just was like an ache, and honestly I didn't even know what was going on because everything was sort of numb. So even feeling that little bit of pain, like my mind didn't even know what was causing the pain. Like it wasn't bad at all. All right, now what is it like to feel a contraction? With a natural birth, like I said, you can feel everything. So for me and my experiences, the contractions never really started off slow and then got more intense. For me, mine just kick in and they start, first one is just difficult. It's hard. Since you can feel everything, you feel your belly just start tightening. It kind of starts around the back and then you feel the tightening, and then as your belly is tightening, you feel it like you feel your uterus basically pushing your baby down. Contractions with an epidural is completely different. You don't feel anything honestly going on. You feel the pressure of the baby pushing down on something, but you don't feel your belly tightening. You don't feel any pain happening. It's just pressure. And even sometimes not even that. Sometimes you can't even feel that. I couldn't even tell that I was having a contraction, even though they were really, really strong, really hard. So I would look, and they have the chart that shows you when you're having contractions. So honestly, I would sit there and look at the chart, see the little wave go up and then go back down and be like, oh, I'm having a contraction. Who knew? Feel nothing. Now let's get into the actual pushing stage. With a natural birth, honestly, I thought I would be the most afraid of pushing, but with a natural labor or birth, pushing is the most satisfying part of the birth because all of the time before that when you're sitting through contractions, there's literally nothing you can do. You just kind of have to sit there and breathe through the contractions and let your body do most of the work. when you get to the point to where you can push, you can actually do something with the pain. So instead of having to just sit there and breathe through it, you can actually take the pain and like do something with it. So that feeling alone it's satisfying, and it really like takes the edge off of the pain and the contractions that you're feeling. Obviously it still hurts, but it's the best part of the labor, in my opinion, to be able to really focus on it and push. Pushing with an epidural is honestly very difficult because, like I said, everything is completely numb. You can't feel what's going on. You can't really work with your body, so you don't even feel the urge to push. You don't, like, there's nothing satisfying about it, I guess. They just tell you, start pushing, and you have to just push, but you like honestly don't even know if you're really even pushing or if you're just tensing everything. So it's a difficult experience in that you don't even know how to focus the push to get the baby out. So I mean, there's no pain, but it's also really hard. Now let's talk about when the baby actually crowns. During a natural birth, this is really painful. I mean, we've heard of the ring of fire, and it's legit. Like, it really, really hurts. When the baby is right there, especially if you're trying to prevent tearing or like make so that the baby comes out really nicely, it's really difficult because your body's instincts want to push, and the pain is so much right there in that moment. So having to like restrain yourself from actually pushing while the baby just sits there, it's difficult. It really, really, it's hard. It just burns. And with an epidural, when the baby's crowning, like, it could just sit there. It could just sit there, and while the doctors are working with the baby, trying to help get the baby here and everything, honestly, it doesn't even faze you. You don't feel anything, so you just sit there and the baby just sits there. Now, after the baby's been born, with a natural birth, after the baby comes out, there's a huge amount of like euphoria and just, oh, I just did that you just feel relief instantly. I mean, you still feel kind of like aches and pains, but nothing compared to what you were feeling. So it's actually a pretty, feeling right after you push the baby out. But then dealing with after pains and things like that, it can be pretty painful. With an epidural, again, you feel nothing. But when the epidural starts to wear off, it takes about an hour or 2 hours for me to start to get the feeling back or sensations back. And then that's when pain kind of starts to hit. You feel just achy and your body just feels broken, to be honest. And now the epidural wears off and all the pain comes from having a baby. Anyway, I hope that helped you when you're making your decisions whether you want an epidural or whether you don't want an epidural. Having tried both, there are things that I really love about natural births, and there are things that I really love about having an epidural. So for me, it was honestly good either one I picked.